The rise of Abbas Araghchi into a global symbol is not happening by accident. It is not the result of media promotion, nor a carefully engineered image campaign. It is emerging from a moment in history where the world is no longer responding to polished diplomacy, but to clarity under pressure. Araghchi's transformation into an icon begins with a simple shift. He does not speak like a traditional diplomat. For decades, diplomacy has been defined by restraint, ambiguity, and carefully measured language. Leaders spoke in coded phrases, leaving room for interpretation, negotiation, and retreat. But the current global environment is different. The world is more volatile, more exposed, and less patient with ambiguity. And in that environment, Araghchi does something unusual. He speaks directly. No hesitation, no dilution, no performance. That moment, when he was asked by Western media about the possibility of US ground troops entering Iran, and he responded, "We are waiting for them," was not just a statement, it was a signal. A signal that the old diplomatic language is no longer the dominant language of power. Because what people saw in that moment was not just defiance. It was certainty, and certainty is rare. Most global figures today speak from a place of calculation, every word filtered, every sentence adjusted to avoid consequences. But Araghchi's tone suggested something else entirely. A man who is not negotiating from fear, but from position. That changes perception instantly. And perception is everything. This is where his blueprint begins to take shape. He is not becoming popular because people agree with him. He is becoming popular because people feel the weight behind his words. There is a psychological shift happening globally. People are exhausted by narratives that feel artificial, scripted, or disconnected from reality. They are looking for figures who appear grounded, decisive, and aligned with something deeper than public approval. Araghchi fits that pattern. He does not try to be liked. He does not soften his stance for international acceptance. He does not adjust his tone to match the expectations of Western media frameworks. And paradoxically, that is exactly why he is gaining attention across the world. Because in an era of constant messaging, authenticity, or at least the perception of it, becomes power. His rise is also connected to timing. He is stepping into visibility at a moment when global tension is at its peak. The conflict involving Iran is not just a regional issue. It is a pressure point in the global system. Energy routes, military alliances, economic stability, and ideological narratives are all intersecting in this space. In such moments, individuals who represent clarity within chaos naturally rise. Araghchi is positioning himself as exactly that, not through branding, not through marketing, but through presence. His communication style reflects a deeper strategic posture, one that suggests Iran is no longer interested in appearing defensive in global discourse. Instead, it is projecting readiness, resilience, and refusal to be intimidated. And whether people agree with that stance or not is secondary. What matters is that it is clear. Clarity cuts through noise. And the world right now is full of noise. Another layer to his growing influence is contrast. Icons are rarely created in isolation. They are created through contrast with everything around them. And when Araghchi appears in interviews with Western journalists, that contrast becomes visible immediately. On one side, you often see structured questioning, framed within a specific narrative. On the other side, you see a response that does not follow that narrative. That tension creates a tension, because it breaks expectation. People are not just listening to what he says. They are watching how he says it. The posture, the tone, the refusal to be cornered into predefined answers. This creates a sense of control, and control, in the context of global uncertainty, becomes symbolic. It represents something larger than the individual. This is where Araghchi begins to transition from a political figure into a symbolic figure, a symbol of resistance, a symbol of sovereignty, a symbol of standing firm in the face of external pressure. And symbols travel faster than facts. They spread across platforms, languages, and cultures because they are not dependent on agreement. They are dependent on recognition. People recognize strength. People recognize conviction. People recognize when someone is not adjusting themselves to fit the room. That recognition is what fuels his rise. There is also a deeper psychological component at play. Human beings are drawn to figures who embody what they feel is missing in their environment. In a world where many feel that leadership has become reactive, cautious, and overly managed, someone who appears unfiltered and decisive stands out immediately. Araghchi is filling that gap, not by trying to, but by being consistent in his approach. Consistency builds trust, not necessarily agreement, but trust in predictability. And predictability in behavior creates a sense of stability. Even if the message itself is strong or confrontational, the consistency behind it makes it easier for people to understand where the figure stands. That is critical in times of uncertainty. Because uncertainty does not just create fear, it creates a search for anchors. Figures who appear grounded become those anchors. Araghchi is becoming one of those anchors for a growing audience. Another factor is the shift in how global audiences consume information. Traditional media no longer controls narrative flow the way it once did. Clips, short statements, and moments now define perception more than long-form interviews or policy papers. That one sentence, "We are waiting for them," traveled faster and further than any official statement. It became a moment, and moments define modern influence. They are replayed, shared, interpreted, and embedded into collective memory. In that sense, Araghchi's rise is perfectly aligned with the mechanics of the current information environment. He delivers statements that are compact, clear, and impactful. That is the formula for visibility today. But visibility alone does not create an icon. Sustainability does. And this is where the next phase of his blueprint becomes critical. Can he maintain this position? Because becoming an icon is one thing, remaining one is another. Icons are tested by events. Their words are measured against outcomes. Their posture is evaluated under pressure. If the situation escalates further, his role will evolve from communicator to decision-maker. And that transition changes everything, because clarity in words must then be matched by clarity in action. The world is watching not just what he says, but what follows. And this leads to the central question that defines his current position. Is Abbas Araghchi simply a voice of the moment? Or is he a figure that will shape the direction of events? Because history does not remember everyone who speaks clearly. It remembers those whose clarity aligns with consequence. Right now, he stands at that intersection, between communication and action, between perception and reality, between symbolism and outcome. And that is where icons are either solidified or dissolved. What makes this moment particularly powerful is that his rise is not confined to one region. He is being discussed globally, in different contexts, from different perspectives, with different interpretations. Some see him as a strong representative of national sovereignty. Others see him as a figure of confrontation. But regardless of interpretation, one thing is consistent. He is being noticed. And in the current global environment, attention is the first layer of influence. The next layers are impact and legacy, and those are still being written. So the real question is not just why Abbas Araghchi is becoming a global icon. The real question is, what does his rise say about the world itself? What does it reveal about what people are responding to? What does it indicate about the direction global leadership is moving toward? Because figures like Araghchi do not emerge in isolation. They emerge as reflections of deeper shifts. Shifts in expectation, shifts in tolerance, shifts in what people define as strength. And right now, the world is signaling something very clearly. It is no longer responding to controlled narratives. It is responding to conviction. Whether that conviction leads to stability or escalation is the part of the story that has not yet been written. And that is where you come in. What do you see? Is Abbas Araghchi a necessary voice in a chaotic system? Is he a symbol of resistance that people have been waiting for? Or is he the beginning of something far more unpredictable? Because in moments like this, understanding the figure is not enough. You have to understand what the figure represents. And that is where the real blueprint begins.